Hi guys, welcome to my sports world once again. And today I am gonna take up a topic here because I was I have to be quick because I have a Champions League game to watch. Manchester United against Atalanta. So I'm gonna be very quick. I saw a couple of videos where a couple of guys was talking, and they said that this is a slam dunk. This upcoming game, Colts against 49ers, is a slam dunk win for the 49ers because 49ers are way better, and Colts are not a very good team, a very great team. Okay, I don't share that opinion. Um, I'm not sharing the opinion that Colt is not a great team. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they are great. They are okay. They're good in certain areas. They do things in a good way. Are they a playoff team? Most likely not. Um, but let's look at what has happened so far up this season. Let's compare, because this is how we have to do it. We have to compare the two teams, the 49ers and the Colts. And this one is sliding out. So let's see. Um, let's look at one thing first. Points forced against others and points allowed. The Colts have is in that department 139 points forced, and points allowed is 131. So they have scored 8 points more than what they have allowed, and that's in the first 6 games that they have played. We have played 5 games because we have had a bye week and the Colts haven't. And we are at points forced against others, 117, and points allowed is 119. So we have scored less points than what we have allowed. Colts have scored more points than they have allowed. That's very important. That's a very important factor. That's how you win games. You score more than you allow. That's how you win games. Over a long season, that will be the force factor when it comes down to it. So for us to score less than we are allowing, that means at some point we're going to lose more games. It's that simple. It's math. Now let's look at the 6 games that the Colts have played. They started off just like us, with 2 teams out of their conference and out of their division. So we're both in the first 2 games we played out of division. The Colts, the first game they played was against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks beat the Colts 28-16. Then they played against the Rams. And I find this interesting because they played 2 of our division rivals. And so the week after, they played first the Seahawks in week 1, 28-16. And then they played the Rams the following week. And these are both home games. Rams versus Colts, 27-24. Rams is a pretty good team this year, and I expect Rams and the Cardinals to go to the playoffs from our division. And the Rams only managed to beat the Colts by 3 points. So that will tell you that the Colts defense it's very good. It's not very, very good. It's not Tampa Bay good or anything like that, or not even 49ers good. But it is good. It's not terrible defense. When they can hold the Rams to a 27-point scoring, and they themselves score 24 points on a Rams team that has pretty good defense. Then they go on the road for 2 games, and they play the Titans. And they lose the Titan game 16-25, which I kind of expected them to do because in my mind, the Titans are one of the 3 or 4 teams in the AFC that will go to the Super Bowl and may even advance in the playoffs, and may even advance in the playoffs. Titan is a good team, and they have good coaching staff, and they know what they're doing. They have proven that. They had like they flipped up against the Cardinals, but we did that too. Then they played the Dolphins, and they beat the Dolphins because Dolphins is not a very good team. Dolphins are one of the teams that I think will be on the bottom end of things when this season is over. So the Colts beat the Dolphins 27-17. Then they play the Ravens, and they play the Ravens away, and the Dolphins was away. They played 3 games away. Wow. After the Dolphins, they played the Ravens, 25-31 loss. Then they go home and they beat the Texans, 31-3. Which was expected because Texans are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. But once again, you see the defense, the Colt defense, stepping up and keeping the Texans to 3 points. And Texans had already played more games this season where they had scored more points than that against better teams. So keep that in mind. Now let's look at the 49ers. 49ers played against the Lions in week 1. We won 41-33. We barely won. Then we barely win against the Eagles the next week, also on the road, 17-10. And we take on the Packers at home, and we lose 30-28. And then we take on the Seahawks at home, and we lose 28-21. And then we play the Cardinals, and we win. No, we lose 10-17. Looking at the numbers here, and looking at the opponents, we have played pretty similar type of games as the Colts. Colts is 2-4. We are 2-3 because we have played 1 game less because of our bye week. But like I said, Colts have forced 139 points and allowed 131 points. We have forced 117 and allowed 119. So if we're going to draw some similarities here, okay, let's look at the Seahawks game because we both play the Seahawks. The Colts lost against the Seahawks. We lost against the Seahawks. We allowed 28 points scored against us. Colts allowed 28 points scored against them. Against the Seahawks, the Colts only scored 16 points. We scored 21. So we scored a little bit more, 5 points more than the Colts against the Seahawks. Those are the only teams that we have played so far that are equal. But we can look at another thing. We have played 2 teams that are kind of considered to be the lower end of the standings when everything is said and done, which is the Eagles and the Lions. And Colts have played 2 games against 2 teams that are probably going to be there down in the swamp with Eagles and Lions, and that is the Texans and the Dolphins. We won our 2 games against 2 mediocre teams. The Colts won their 2 games against mediocre teams. However, what would the outcome have been most likely if you put Dolphins and Texans up against Eagles and Lions? I would say that the teams that the Colts played probably would have been winning those games. Looking at the last games that were played, when we look at the Texan game, Colts-Texan, Colt really just steamrolled over the Texans. If you look at the last game that we played against the Cardinals, our offense was dysfunctional as hell. I'm sorry to use that word, but it was. But our defense stepped up and kind of kept the Cardinals in check for most of the game. But we didn't have the last little things to keep them from scoring 17 points. So there was positive things on our side on the defense, but the Colts had positive things happening on the offense and on the defense. They held the Texans to 3 points. And if you look at the games that Texans have played so far, they have scored more than 3 points in their games. So what can we take out from that? I don't want to say that the Colts are bad. They are a mid-level and mid-table team. Somewhere between 15 and 22. They're not in the bottom 8. They will not be in the bottom 8 when the season is over. But they're somewhere in the middle. And I think that right now, the 49ers are also right there in the middle somewhere between probably 15 and 2022, something like that. So we are probably, strength-wise, as a team, we're probably pretty close. So I think this will be a close game. It all comes down to what our defense can do, and because if you saw the last game the Colts played, I want to say they had some trend things going on. You know, they have some good running backs. They also have some good receivers. Don't sleep on Pittman. Don't sleep on Pascal. Don't sleep on, the running back Hines. He's not that great this year. Well, he's great, but he hasn't done much this year. But you have had Taylor doing the most of it, and he has really surprised me. So don't sleep on the Colts on offense. Carson Wentz in the last game picked up some really good strides and really impressed more than what he had done earlier in the season. And Carson Wentz is one of those very unpredictable QBs. He can play 1 or 2 games where he's like, damn, he's bad. He's really mediocre and bad. And then he has these games, 1 or 2 or 3 games in a row, where you go like, whoa, what's happening to Carson Wentz? And then he falls off again. So Carson Wentz is a mysterium when it comes to QB. He has bad games. He's not very consistent on a very good high-level consistency. But he has these damn, what did he do? He really fucked up. He threw 4 picks and couldn't complete more than 40% of his throws, and then the next game he's on fire. He was on fire against the Texans. If he has a similar day against us, it's going to be a long day for the 49ers. Whoa, really long day. So I don't share this belief or this opinion that the Colts are a very terrible team. It's been said. They said Colts are a bad, terrible, not a good football team. They are not that bad either. Let me tell you. They put up a fight against the Rams. They put up a good fight against the Seahawks. They put up a really good fight against the Ravens. And they beat the Dolphins and they beat the Colts. And they were not dominated into the mud by the Titans either. So most of their games has been close. And Ravens are good this year. I see kind of the Ravens possibly going to the playoffs. So it's going to be a tight game. I made a video earlier where I said that I feel that the Colts are probably going to win by a field goal or a touchdown. This is a game that can go either way. We can win it by a touchdown or a field goal. They can win it by a touchdown or a field goal. Or it can be one of those games where the 49ers just goes bananas and crazy and put up 30, 40 points like we did against the Lions. You never know. But based on what I have seen so far, our offense in the last... Well, in the last... we put up 10 points against the Cardinals. We put up 17 points against the Eagles. 21 points against the Seahawks. So, and we know the struggles of the offense. I'm just afraid that the offense is going to struggle again. And if we do, and the Colts has a good day on defense, it doesn't take more than them scoring 10 points, 13 points, 17 points. If they can hold us to 3 points, 6 points, 9 points, 10 points. Because let's face it, our offense has not fired on all cylinders all year long. We had a little bit of a flashy thing against the Lions, but it's the Lions. You can't go by anything that happens in the Lions game. Well, the only thing you can go by is that our defense let the Detroit Lions back in the game in the fourth quarter, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes. So, for those of you who thinks this is going to be a walk in the park and we're going to steamroll over the Colts and we're going to win big time, you are in for a surprise, my friend. You're in for a huge, huge surprise. This game is going to be very tight, very close. The team that has the ball the last will either win by a TD or a field goal. And I fear that Kyle's play calling and clock management, especially clock management, he has some good play callings every now and then, but his clock management is terrible. I fear that Kyle will abuse the clock on this one and screw things up at the end. I have this sneaking feeling that our defense is going to come out and keep the Colts to maybe like 17 points. Let's say that. And really put on a heroic performance. Because we have the players with the attitude to do that. D Ford, Bosa, Armstead. We have these guys that are there to just force their will on offenses. But I see that the Colts can have 17 points in this game. But the problem here is, if our offense is like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and we have to rely on field goals, this, I tell you, this will be a game where you're going to be chewing on your nails and hitting your knuckles on the table. Like I said, I can see this go either way. The last team with the ball possession can win it by a field goal or a TD. I said earlier that I leaning towards the Colts. I think I still do. Just because they have forced more points on opponents than we have been able to do. And they have a positive, they have a positive one, 139 versus 131. So they have a positive of 8. We have 117, 119. We have a negative of 2. So just because of that, I think maybe the fact that we're coming off a bye week. And when you come off a bye week, two things can happen. You can either go straight to the top and you can perform like a freaking Superman on steroids, or your team can come out and be a little bit rusty. We don't know yet, but it's gonna be a tight game, guys. You just have to wait and see. But to those of you who thinks that the 49ers are gonna win this one, we're gonna steamroll over the Colts, we're gonna knock them to the ground, we're gonna win by 20, 25 points or more. Not happening. Not happening. They have Taylor, they have Pascal, they have Pittman, they have Hines, they have Carson Wentz, who kind of have looked very mobile lately, more so than last year. That can be a problem. And of course, they have Buckner on defense. They have a couple of others. Their corners are not that great. I'll give you that. Their corners are not that great, but they're not too shabby either. They're better than, I want to say they're probably better than our corners. But it's going to be a tough game. That's all I can say. Take care, guys.